do one last thing with procedurals. Let's go to File. We're going to load our object again, our grid. And we'll go through the same setup with Xform that we did in the previous lesson. So we'll just add Xform right now to the grid. Let's go to our Tools, add a procedural. Our procedural will be a grid, a plane. Just move it up a little so we can see it. This plane will be stretched to fit. And we will assign an image called displace to it. Let's go back to our Xform. Make sure our weight is set there. We'll just leave it to type static. We get into animate. We'll just move Xform, the Xform null, up 1 meter or so. Now let's head back into setup. We're going to add one more procedural, which will just be a sphere. We'll change the sphere to maybe 0.25 in size. And what we're going to do is we're going to use our image map from this procedural as a height field to move that sphere along, kind of like a fake collision detection. So we'll head into Command. There's an expression called weight value. Let's go down here to the W's. And what weight value does is it checks for a value of 0 to 1, or whatever value you set your weight in 3D space. Our weight object in this case is procedural, which is our ground plane. And our X, Y, and Z positions will be our sphere that we've selected. We can take a look down here, and it said procedural_1, which is our sphere. And we'll just left mouse click in the buffer to add that, and we'll copy that, and we'll paste it. We're going to append an @ symbol, capital NOW, now, which tells it to check every single frame. Just going to copy that and paste that 3 times and change the X position to Y position and Z position. Now you see that the expression is grayed out. Well, we'll just add a new variable and then right mouse click on the pull down menu to add that to the expression. So if we click on debug, we can see that we have a value here between 0 and 1. This value will represent our height field. Now we go to channels. We'll just highlight Y, check mark to make the selection the active highlight, and add that. We'll see that the point goes right to the top of our screen. If we set this to additive, we can add a little extra on top of that. So we can line up the sphere to the terrain. If we grab any one of these now, you can see it move up and down, because it is using our height map from our procedural to define where it is on the y-axis. Now this type of motion is not limited to just translations on one single object. If you had an animation that needed to transition, you could use this effect as well and use the weight map to define what action blends were going between where. So we used Xform to move the control points out of the way using a procedural that's projecting an image map on as weights. This procedural is also being sampled with our expression weight value that tells us how high to move this sphere. What this results in is a fake kind of collision detection with the surface. Go to File. I'm going to save this scene as into the Scenes folder, Procedural 4.